How's it going? Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you the top lessons I've learned from my 10+ years experience writing songs. So let's just jump straight into the video. First lesson I've learned is that you'll never write a perfect song. Perfect doesn't exist. Every song that I've written and released to the public, there's always been something more that I think I could have done to the song, but at the end of the day, you have to reach a point when you're writing your songs where you just have to kind of be happy with it and satisfied, and then just release it to the world. Because if you keep adding on to it, keep trying to make it perfect, keep trying to make improvements, you're never gonna ever release anything. So it's really important that you just kind of reach a point in writing a song where you're satisfied enough, where it's not perfect, because it never will be, and then release it to people, because your songwriting will get better over time. So that was a quick point. The second point is patience. This is a really important lesson I've learned when writing songs. There have been songs that have taken me 2 years to write. There's a song that I started writing in 2014. It's now 2020, and now I'm finally thinking about using it for my band because the time is right. Patience is a really, really important thing when it comes to songwriting. I've got riffs that I've written 2 years ago on my computer where I just can't think of what goes next. These riffs are like the best riffs I've ever written, but I just can't think of something to go afterwards. And I know the time will come, but I just have to wait for when the right time is. So that is a very important point, patience. Sometimes a song will take months, even years to write. Sometimes a song might even take a day, so don't feel that you need to be patient if you write a really good song in just a day. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Now, the third lesson I've learned is that creative bursts are very rare. So I could go 6 months where I don't write anything, anything good. And then suddenly one day, push, I write the best thing I've written in months. And for about a week, I'll be on that wave where I'm just like creative, super creative. And then suddenly, push, I descend back into that plateau again. And I can't really write anything that I perceive to be good. So it's important that every day you kind of sit down and allow that creative burst to kind of appear if it does. Because if you take one day where you don't write music, that could have been the day where your creative burst kind of starts. So make sure you just sit down every day, even if it's for like 20 minutes, just to write something. Even if it's not good, just try and write something. The next lesson I've learned is that learning music theory makes things so much easier, and it's just really, really important to do. When you've got an idea in your head, you could just try and work it out by ear, or you could be like, oh, I know what chords they are, and I know what scale to use, and instantly be able to play it on guitar. I don't know what you would prefer, but I prefer to be able to know exactly how to play what I'm hearing in my head, and that takes knowledge of music theory. I'm not saying it's bad to not know music theory. There are plenty of guitarists who just use their ears and create some incredible sounds. And that brings me to my next point actually. There's a really good saying, I don't know, I've heard it from a few different people. It's to learn music theory, and then when you write a song, forget all about it. So when you write a song, forget that you even know music theory. But if you need it at a certain point, then you can call upon your knowledge and write what you need to from that music theory knowledge. The next point is a very interesting point that I don't think I've heard many people talk about, and that is that constraints can make you more creative. What do I mean by this? So, for example, let me say I'm going to write a new song today, but I'm only going to use 2 chords, and I'm only going to use 3 notes from the particular scale or key that we're playing. So with those 2 chords and 3 notes, I really have to think outside of the box to get something creative out of those 2 chords and 3 notes. Another reason why these constraints can make you more creative is that you've got loads of ideas. Oh, all these scales I can use, all these chords I can use, and it gets overwhelming. So if you just choose like one set of chords and a couple of notes that you want to use, then you're stuck with that, and you don't have to worry about all the different options you've got, and it just allows you to get in the zone and write with that. And that's not to say you can't go and use those things afterwards, but it's nice to kind of have some constraints on there, and it gets you started writing a song. Now, another really, really important lesson I've learned is that you need to regularly try out new approaches to songwriting. I personally can get quite formulaic in the way I write songs. My go-to way of writing songs is to just sit down with my guitar, open up Tux Guitar, which is basically like a free version of Guitar Pro, and just kind of tab things out in there. But kind of keeping things fresh and keeping things new is the key to being creative. Have you ever bought a new guitar, for example, or borrowed a new guitar from someone, and the differences in that guitar make you all excited, and you get this kind of cool creative burst from all the different options? Maybe this guitar has a tremolo and your old one didn't, or maybe this guitar has 8 strings and your previous one had 6 strings, and now you can go grrr, grrr. Having new things to try out is really gonna make you more creative. So you don't have to buy a new guitar to do this. You can try writing a different instrument. So for example, one day I might write with a guitar, and then the next day I might write a drum part to start off my song, and then the next day I might write a bass part to start off another song. It just keeps things fresh, and there's new ideas happening all the time. Another thing you could do is use different software to write music. So as I said, I use Tux Guitar, which is the free Guitar Pro. Every now and again, I'll jump onto Reaper, which is my DAW of choice, and I'll just use the MIDI matrix, or whatever it's called, to click on the little MIDI spots and write songs with that. And you come up with some really different ideas to what you would on like just tabbing out or using your guitar. So definitely try out new approaches, keeps things fresh, it makes you more creative, which is the whole point of this video. Songwriting is about creativity, isn't it? So the final point that I have to make is that inviting people along and having other people to write music with is just amazing, and it's going to make your songwriting, it's going to take your songwriting to new heights. So let me give you a personal example. I once wrote a couple of years ago a cool like neo-soul-y kind of riff. It was just a smooth, chilled, kind of like laid-back kind of riff. I brought it to a band practice, and the drummer started playing this kind of funky, and I'm like, okay, that's not what I was going for, but it kind of works. And then the bass player was just playing this funky groove, and I was like, right, this is totally not what I was expecting. It's even better than what I was expecting, and it turned into one of the songs that I'm most proud of writing in my entire life. That is all down to having other people to bounce ideas off. So other people, as from this example, will have completely different ideas to how they want a particular riff that you've written to sound, and that can be really good. It can also be bad. Like, you could be set in your ways and be like, no, I want it to be like this. But if you're open to new ideas, great things can happen if you have other people putting their input in. That's not to say that you can't like write songs by yourself. If you have like a very strict vision of where you want something to go, there's nothing wrong with that, but opening yourself up to input from other musicians can really just, again, freshen things up and cause a creative burst, which is what this is all about. So those are the main lessons I've learned from songwriting for 10 years and being in bands and all that kind of thing. If you have any lessons of your own that you've learned from songwriting, please drop them in the comments. I'm always looking for new approaches to songwriting. So any ideas that I can maybe gain, any knowledge I can maybe gain from you guys, that is really awesome. If you enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell too, so that you're notified every single time I release a new video. And also go into the description and check out the first 2 chapters of my book, Chord Charisma. That's going to show you how to write a basic chord progression, but then build it up from there and make it sound more jazzy with cool chord extensions like 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths. And yeah, it's completely free, so go and check that out. Also check out my Patreon if you feel like supporting and giving back to the channel. You can support the channel for as little as $2 a month, and you get access to cool resources like backing tracks and tabs and chord charts that are resources for videos on this channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, go check that out as well. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. See you later.